fact, it's a paradox that at one level that they were involved in the violence in some ways during the partition, but also they were simultaneously involved in mobilizing the people in the Hindu refugees who came from Pakistan.
If one looks at the Hindu society's mindset, it has to deal with RSS got and succeeded, but Arya Samaj could not succeed. Earlier scholar activists, you had Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, we had B.S. Munje, who was a patron of Hedgewar and later Deoras. Definitely, if one looks at talk to Arya Samaj guy, they definitely have some discomfort in them about what the RSS and BJP are peddling.
Hello and welcome to the Federal. Over the last several weeks, we have been presenting to you a series of interviews with very remarkable and well-established scholars and writers talking about the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh or the RSS because it is their centenary year. There have been several interviews which has been done in the last few weeks, but there are still many more questions about the RSS, which we really do not know. One of the biggest reasons as to why there are big questions, a lot of it is not understood, is that a large part of our understanding of the RSS comes from what is said to be the self-definition of the RSS, that they say that we are this, whereas that may not be the truth. So we will be unraveling some of these questions today, and I couldn't have actually got hold of a better person to do it than Subhash Gatade. Welcome to this program. You have studied the RSS for several decades now. You wrote several remarkable books, most importantly, Godse's Children, Hindutva Terror in India, which was written about, I think, about a decade and a half ago. And then also the important analysis of the Modi years, Modinama, trying to understand of the Modi years, what all has happened, what has changed, what is still can be retrieved. These are some of the aspects that you have studied. So welcome to this program and thank you very much for joining me here. Now, as I said, that we go beyond the self-definition of the RSS. So let me ask you with a question which has actually haunted me right from the time that people like me started writing on the Sangh Parivar, which is in the early 1980s, primarily when as a reaction to the Meenakshi Puram mass conversions, we saw that the entire Sangh Parivar, the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, the Bharatiya Janata Party was still a very nascent party at that time. They all suddenly stepped up on what we call the accelerator, to try to regain their political clout, which they used to have in the late 60s and the 70s. Why was the RSS established in Maharashtra, and why is it that from 1925 onward, there has been a preponderance of not just Maharashtrian, but also Maharashtrian Brahmins in the leadership? What are the reasons for it?
Thank you for inviting me for this important dialogue. I think it's a very important question that there needs to be unpacked, because that largely the RSS is understood as the way you put it, that RSS which defines itself as it's a Hindu organization, and it relates it to the civilizational war against Hindus and Muslims. So that is the understanding which is much prevalent in the public one.
Right.
But it's a partial understanding. The major aspect, the other aspect of RSS foundation is one had to look at RSS, the establishment of RSS, how Hedgewar looked at it, and also the background of Maharashtra. Why RSS or the earlier scholar activists, you had Vinayak Damodar Savarkar, we had B.S. Munje, who was a patron of Hedgewar and later Deoras. So all these great leaders of RSS belong to Maharashtra. So what is this relation between, and if one looks at it as a Marathi, if I look at Maharashtra, Muslims have been less than 10% in Maharashtra and never politically dominant in Maharashtra. And we had
Though
Chhatrapati.
they played an important role in Shivaji's,
Yeah.
army.
Really.
That's
was
what
the-
I think you were coming to when I kind of butted in.
Yeah.
Please.
So Chhatrapati Shivaji's army was definitely composite, and one of his close comrades was Madari Mehtar, who helped him escape from Agra jail. So that the nature of his army was very composite. That is understood. And so why a state which challenged the Mughal rule, challenged the Islamic rule, and if one looks at Aurangzeb's journey, he came to Maharashtra, came to South, and he died. So 35 years he was in this part of. So despite the challenge posed by Shivaji, despite the fact that Muslims have never been dominant in Maharashtra, why is the RSS there? So this myth that it's a civilizational battle, which the RSS wants to, RSS has been established to further that the Hindus have to be united. So I think one has to link it to Mahatma Phule's his cultural revolt, mid 19th century.
Yes.
We had the Satyashodhak Samaj was initiated by Mahatma Phule. If one looks at Maharashtra's situation,
The social reform movement essentially started from two provinces of British India, that is Maharashtra, what was Western India, and Bengal to some extent. That is why we see a lot of social reform there.
So he was the social reformer in Maharashtra. So what did he do? He sort of used the British scheme that Dalits and backwards should be educated. Earlier, during Peshwai, till 1818, Peshwa rule was there, so where non-Brahmins did not have any rights.
Okay.
If one looks at the social conditions, then Dalits had to travel on the streets in the evening. They could not travel on the street, walk on the streets in the morning, because if their sun, their shadow reaches the Savarnas, then that would be blasphemy. So Dalits, they did not have any rights. Women did not have any rights, and education was out of question for them. So under the British rule, colonial rule, when Britishers said that everybody should get a right to education, if one looks at Macaulay's minutes also. So when Mahatma Phule started his school with the help of Savitribai Phule, Fatima Sheikh and all, so that was a rebellion.
Okay.
And that sort of initiated a very long reaction within the Maharashtrian society. And if one looks at the 50-year journey of Mahatma Phule's Satyashodhak Samaj, we had Narayan Lokhande, who led the labor movement in Maharashtra. We had Tarabai Shinde, who she's called this female theoretician, great female theoretician. So all these openings were there. So the social revolt, cultural revolt, which Gail Umbed talks about about the Mahatma Phule's movement. So that was a challenge to the Brahminical rule.
Okay.
The Brahmin dominance, though politically Britishers were dominant, but socially Brahmins were dominant everywhere in Maharashtrian society.
So that was being challenged by Jyotiba Phule.
And that initiated a process. And then after the death of Mahatma Phule, it took the form of non-Brahmin movement. And also it led to Ambedkar also. Ambedkar calls Mahatma Phule the biggest Shudra.
But that is much later. In the 19th century, the last decade, we also see the entry of the Ganesh festival in the public domain, just as the time in Bengal also the Durga Puja comes out from individual homes to the public spaces. The entire idea of Sarvajanin Durga Puja, that is a more public kind of a Durga Puja celebration, started around the same time. So would you also put the formation of the RSS in conjunction with, as part of taking forward what was started by Tilak?
That is a very important point which you raised. If one looks at Lokmanya Tilak's two festivals he started Shiv Jayanti and he started Ganesh Utsav. And if one looks at Maharashtrian history, Hindus did not have any tradition of mass festivals because so much of caste discrimination was there, caste segregation was there. So the caste society did not have any understanding of the mass festivals. So the fact of the matter is that the Dalits and the backwards used to join Muharram Muharram
Right.
celebrations, they used to join. So that was the biggest anxiety among the upper caste in Maharashtra, that the Dalits and the backwards are
So
joining
the
that.
Ganesh festival was essentially started to wean away the non-Brahmins from celebrating Islamic festivals.
Yeah. It's basically a counter. It's basically
But did the
counter.
Brahmins then allow the non-Brahmins, or especially the Dalits and the backward castes, participation in the Ganesh festivals?
So they initiated it. They started joining it also. But that was the trigger to start both these Shiva Jayanti and Ganesh Utsav, and mainly which is talked about because Lokmanya Tilak wanted to organize the people. So against the Britishers also, that anti-colonial element was also there. But the social level, you find, that was the trigger, because the anxieties on the basis of in Hindu, that was also coming in.
And that remained in the RSS when it was established.
Yeah.
In Nagpur, it was primarily in the immediate backdrop of the 1924 communal riots, which kept on going on for some time and spilled over.
Yeah. Interestingly, you must the biography of Hedgewar, which is written by C.P. Bhishikar,
Right.
which is it's called his official biography of.
That's right.
So he asked Hedgewar, why did you form RSS? There are two problems. Yavan snakes were on the rise. Yavan is Muslims.
Okay.
Yavan snakes on the rise. And the
Meaning
second
the Muslim snakes were on the rise.
Yeah, that was his point. And secondly, the non-Brahmin movement was also there. So that was his anxiety. The non-Brahmins were asserting, and also Dalits were also joining.
So the basic idea of forming it was to establish the dominance of the Brahmins once again, which was on the decline.
Yeah. You say that our enemies are Muslims, but the main anxiety, problem.
What about the inspiration from Savarkar's book Essentials of Hinduism, which later on, was renamed as, Hindutva, who we are, that kind. But Savarkar's treatise, which was written when he was in prison, and then got smuggled out. To what extent did it inspire or motivate Hedgewar to establish the RSS?
It is called the quote unquote Bible of RSS.
Okay.
So that was the theoretical framework of the Hindutva. He laid down, but it is difficult to see whether RSS continued with that or not, because RSS Savarkar had made a much larger viewpoint. He also talked about scientific temper and all. He also challenged the cow worship and all. So according to him, cow is a very useful animal. So
right.
So RSS Hedgewar definitely met Savarkar in 2023 before formation of RSS. But I don't think that they continued with Savarkar's ideology, Savarkar's thinking, and later you find the differences also. Yeah.
We will come, to what is happening in the contemporary time. But let's go back to the basic question. To what extent did the RSS believe in the Varna system right up from the time it was established?
I think its belief in Varna system was very much there then when it was established, and after 100 years also, that same belief in Varna Vyavastha, it continues in RSS. You can find it at various levels. It's reflection at various levels. You rightly mentioned the fact that supremos of RSS, most of the RSS supremos have been Brahmins, barring one, Rajju Bhaiya.
Rajju Bhaiya is the only one, and from non-Maharashtra, from Uttar Pradesh, he was a Rajput, Thakur, whatever you would like to call it.
Yeah. So all of them were Brahmins. And secondly, their fascination for Manusmriti got very much blatantly manifested during the time of constitutional making. You get writings of Savarkar as well as Golwalkar. Why we need to have a separate constitution? We have Manusmriti. Their writings are there.
Right.
So they wanted Manusmriti to continue.
They were also against universal adult suffrage.
So that fascination was very much there, and that fascination still continues at various levels. If one looks at the 12 years of Modi regime, if one looks at the various policies or various steps which it has taken, you find that continuation is very much there. 2024, they talked of telling changing the constitution also.
But they also say, they cite figures that, say in the Union Cabinet, for instance, the Union Council of Ministers to be more accurate, that there are a large number of people from the backward castes.
Yeah.
Even in the party leadership, there is now an effort to have more and more backward caste leaders, although this is a paradox that the new president of the BJP who has been appointed is a caste, is an upper caste, very much of an upper caste person. But going back, we know that several interviews which Golwalkar gave, talked about preserving the caste system.
Yeah.
But Balasaheb Deoras, after he became the Sarsanchalak, within a year, or maybe it was the same year, in 1974, he gave this lecture which is talked about as part of the series of programs called, the Basant Vyakhanmala, which has been delivered in Pune for a long time. So in that, he talked about social inclusion as part of RSS strategy to grow. Essentially to say that the RSS needs to go beyond the Brahmins, in terms of, but it took a long time. And I do not think, that is the time also, in the early 80s is the time after 1981 Meenakshi Puram, which I mentioned. That is the time when really the panic button starts. But even after the Meenakshi Puram incident triggered development and programs which were started by the Sangh Parivar, it took a long time, and the first instance where we really see a Dalit participating in public in a major event of the RSS or any of its affiliates was the Shilanyas program in Ayodhya, where they got the first symbolic stone laid down by a Dalit member of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad. What is it that took such a long time? Was it that instinctively the RSS was not in tune with Balasaheb Deoras, its own leader?
I think one has to analyze what Balasaheb Deoras did. You rightly said that he was the first person in RSS. He talked about inclusion. But one should also look at 1969 when Golwalkar was alive, and he had supported Manusmriti then also. So I divide Balasaheb Deoras and Golwalkar. But Golwalkar's vision was exclusive Hindutva. He did not want Dalits into it, but so that is exclusive vision, and Deoras' vision was inclusive vision of Hindutva. But as far as the arrangement is concerned, there is no problem. The arrangement definitely continues, and so you initially said that you had Dalit ministers also, backward ministers also.
No, we have them.
That's fine. It's fine. But if they are talking the same language, if they say that Hedgewar and Golwalkar, Ambedkar, they are same, like the way RSS portrays. RSS has established a Samajik Samrasta Manch, and they had a big program initiated that Hedgewar and Savarkar, Ambedkar both are social reformers. So whereas they had consistently opposed what Ambedkar did, Hindu Code being or earlier constitution also. So if you look at this vision, if you accept RSS vision of Hindutva, though Dalits can be there, backwards can also be there. They talk of the same language.
Do you say that it's some kind of tokenism?
Yeah, definitely. More than that. It's not only tokenism. You empower Dalits at a very limited level, and if one looks at the composition of the people participating in riots, 2002 many people have noted how Dalits and tribals and backwards participated in riots
in Gujarat.
So you quote unquote empowered them, and you said that your enemy is not the caste system. Your enemy is not Varna system.
Enemy is the
Muslims. So othering of things. So that agenda gets served. So you include Dalits, you include backwards, and then they serve your agenda. You serve their agenda.
But at what point did this transition come? You very rightly pointed out that when the RSS was established, the primary cause was that they were worried about the rise of the backward castes, Jyotiba Phule, various other social reforms, including Pandita Ramabai, as we were talking the other day. That is the reason. At what time did the RSS become completely Islamophobic in its viewpoint?
If one looks at RSS own, when Golwalkar was there, Golwalkar's writings, if one analyze our nation rule defined,
Right.
or bunch of thoughts, Heidegger has not written anything. So what
Right, Heidegger is the-
he's not. So what he's actually thought, we cannot understand. We don't know. But in writings, if you look at Golwalkar's writing, he says in bunch of thoughts he mentions three enemies are there: Muslims, Christians, and communists. He mentions that.
Yes.
Mentions that. So that and the way they acted during partition, there is enough documentary evidence to show that what has been the RSS role during partition riots. So much has been written about it. So that Golwalkar thinking was there.
In fact, it's a paradox that at one level that they were involved in the violence in some ways during the partition, but also they were simultaneously involved in mobilizing the people in the Hindu refugees who came from Pakistan side, from what is known as at that time as West Punjab.
Yeah.
So they spent a lot of that, and that is why even today you find in communities which has a large heritage of people coming from West Punjab side, the RSS has a significant support there. But moving on, to another issue which we really need to understand. Savarkar, on his release in 1937, when he gets permitted by the British to fully participate in Indian politics also, if he so chooses, does not get involved in the RSS, but gets involved with the All India Mahasabha, with the Hindu Mahasabha. How do you look at the relationship between the RSS and Hindu Mahasabha, and how is that changed at various points of Indian history?
I think if one looks at Hindu Mahasabha and RSS, if we compare both these organizations, Hindu Mahasabha had they're more interested in power. But if one looks at the RSS, day one, they wanted power, but they wanted to adopt a longer route. So they wanted to change the minds of the Hindus. So that cultural social aspect was very much there in their mind. So question of political power was not immediately on their agenda. So one can differentiate between Hindu Mahasabha and RSS at this level. That difference of vision. So Hindu Mahasabha, their relationship was very, you can say, very it went through ups and downs, because RSS, Hindu Mahasabha initially felt that RSS people can be used as their youth organization. But later they felt that it cannot be possible, it's not possible. Secondly, Hindu Mahasabha's leader, Babarao Savarkar, elder brother of Veerada Savarkar, he was one of the founders of RSS. And he greatly helped RSS in expansion of RSS. He merged his organization Tarun Bharat Sangh in RSS only. So they had a very interesting relationship, and it went through ups and downs. When he finds it during the Gandhi, the whole Gandhi assassination case also.
So would you say that, at least till the assassination of Mahatma Gandhi, the Hindu Mahasabha and the RSS had a very symbiotic relationship, where it was difficult to understand at which point the RSS began and at which point it ended, or vice versa, that they kind of were always, intermingled with each other.
Largely true. It's a very symbiotic relationship, definitely, we can say, till Gandhi assassination, that case.
And after Gandhi assassination, with Savarkar being named as one of the people who conspired to assassinate Mahatma Gandhi, the RSS leaders were also arrested and it was banned. But thereafter, the RSS started itself politically distancing. Is it a right way of looking at it? And also kept away from V.D. Savarkar till he was alive in the mid-60s.
That is really true. And if one looks at the way later RSS thought of moving, RSS thought of forming the Bharatiya Jan Sangh, the political formation. And who was the key leader they found? Shyama Prasad Mukherjee.
Who had been in Hindu Mahasabha.
Second in command of Savarkar. So they won him over, and they made him leader. So slowly that division was that separation was there, and if one looks at Savarkar was very bitter about the way RSS was developing. They did not keep any contact with him. So that was there. Later, when now they realized that RSS did not participate in independence movement, so they are trying to appropriate Savarkar now. But their relationship between RSS and Mahasabha after Gandhi assassination was really bitter. They were not concerned with him. Savarkar, it is said that Savarkar was very peeved with the way RSS was moving. That is the situation.
Some of the scholars have actually argued, that this entire belief that Savarkar did not think very highly of the RSS, especially in the 1940s, has essentially been, that idea has been promoted by both the Mahasabha and the RSS because they wanted to show them to be distanced during the Gandhi assassination trial and the investigation at that particular time. So, do you think that this was very consciously done?
Yeah, definitely consciously done. And so you find, like when you would recall the Andaman there, Savarkar's when during the first Atal Bihari Vajpayee regime, the issue of Savarkar's statue
in 2003 when it was first, it was also installed in Parliament building in 2003.
So initially when it was removed, so Vikram Savarkar, his grandson, had protested. He said that RSS has never remained very concerned about RSS.
About Savarkar. Okay, let's look at another very important organization which was also, running parallel to the RSS at the time of its formation. That is the Arya Samaj.
Yeah.
What role did the Arya Samaj play in the 1920s, 30s, and even the 40s, in events leading up to partition? And in the last several decades, especially the last 3 decades that one has seen the gradual disappearance of the Arya Samaj from the social sphere.
Yeah.
I completely would not know the socio-political arena.
Yeah.
There's been a complete absence of the Arya Samaj. What has happened? Has it got completely co-opted by the RSS?
Yeah, that seems because if the whole Arya Samaj experiment, why important question we need to ask, why there have been 3 major experiments of Hindu consolidation: Arya Samaj, Hindu Mahasabha, and RSS. Why RSS succeeded and why RSS succeeded, Arya Samaj could not succeed? Because Arya Samaj had a very radical vision of social reform.
We were talking about the RSS at one level, the Hindu Mahasabha, and the Arya Samaj.
Yeah.
These 3 were on the common agenda of anti-Islam, anti-Muslims.
Yeah.
What has happened for the Arya Samaj to kind of fade away from the socio-political space completely? Even the Hindu Mahasabha is virtually non-existent. So have they all been co-opted by the RSS? And if so, how has it affected Hindu society as a whole?
As of now, I feel that Arya Samaj or Hindu Mahasabha, RSS has n number of affiliated organizations.
Right.
So effectively, they are acting as one of the affiliated organizations of RSS only. It's not formal. They have different organization, but they are in that framework only. So actual level pe, if one looks at Ram Janmabhoomi movement and other movements of RSS launched by RSS, so they have joined the movements. So effectively they are affiliated organizations effectively, but their gradual weakening. You can say if one looks at the Hindu society's mindset, it has to deal with RSS got and succeeded, but Arya Samaj could not succeed. Because Arya Samaj had a very relatively radical vision. They wanted casteless society within the Hindu society, but the overall the dominant mindset of the Hindus was that they did not very keen about social reforms. So RSS presented a vision of Hindu society where all the Chatru Varnyas would be there. So there would be change, but still we'll be united.
Right.
So that vision of RSS resonated much with the dominant mindset of Hindu society. So that's why RSS succeeded, and so slowly they got petered out. So effectively,
In the last 5-6 years, especially after 2019, there has been great political emphasis on the notion of Sanatan Dharma. The BJP leaders, right from Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister of India, as well as his other, close aides, including Mr. Amit Shah, they have always emphasized or tried to create this fear that Sanatan Dharma is under some kind of a threat. Now, the people who have come who are there from an Arya Samaj background, they find it something problematic that Sanatan Dharma is being emphasized so much by the RSS and its affiliated organizations.
Yeah, there is definitely, if one looks at talk to Arya Samaj guy, they definitely have some discomfort in them about what the RSS and BJP are peddling, propagating, but they are not in a position to protest also. They are so meek. Basically, they have been co-opted. Basically, both these teams have been co-opted by RSS, so they are not in a position to resist. They just have to go along. Otherwise, they will be further marginalized. So that is.
Now, let's go back as the last point which I want to discuss with you to what we were talking about right in the beginning, this self-definition of the RSS. So far, the forces, the adversaries of the RSS have been driven by, or rather, their entire strategy has been formed by the self-definition of the RSS and its leadership. Would the adversaries or the critics of the RSS been better placed if they had understood that the primary reason for establishing the RSS or the other organizations, including the Hindu Mahasabha, was that the Brahmin domination from Hindu society was under threat? If that had been projected, that this is why they do it, they would have been able to make better penetration into Hindu society and keep certain caste groups on their side and not allow them to become part of the Sangh Parivar fraternity.
Yeah, really. That is, I think a major change would have been anti-caste struggle would have been an important component of the critiques of RSS from day one. So that would have added a new dimension to it, and also anti-patriarchy struggle. So RSS, the whole RSS vision, the self-definition of RSS calls itself it's an organization of Hindus, but it is not true. It's an organization of Hindu male organization. Most women are not included in the RSS.
Right.
Women had to form another organization.
They have
Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh.
Even Muslims are not.
Muslims are there, but at least Hindu women also, they wanted to be part of RSS. So Hedgewar asked them, you have a separate organization, Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh.
Right.
So as far as the situation of women is concerned and the lower caste is concerned, if we had that clear vision day one, so all these different struggles could have been launched. To form a broader unity of people and to tell the reality of RSS to larger people. So I think that would have definitely brought a change.
Well, very well explained, and thank you very much, Subhash Gatade, for having spent so much time with us and talking about the RSS and trying to resolve some of the questions. There continue to be many questions about the RSS which we ran out of time today. But I am sure that you will wonder that why is it that in the lifetime of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the RSS was so critical of him, but in the last few years, we suddenly find efforts going on by everybody that one can think of, right from the RSS to the BJP, to somehow or the other appropriate Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. This is something that we need to wonder. I think we will have this answer maybe in one of the next coming episodes. Thank you so much.